I guess best thing to do is just hire you guys. Honestly, I've done real estate for a while and I've learned to just buy the course and go faster than try to figure it out yourself. It's so much better. I have real estate partners and I tell them, let's don't try to figure it out. Just buy the course and let's go.
Most hosts never achieve the results they hoped for. They're falling short on listenership and monetization, meaning their message isn't being heard and their show ends up costing them money. This podcast was created to help you grow your listenership and make money while you're at it. Get ready to take notes. Here's your host, Adam Adams.
Hey, podcaster. If you aren't super good with technology, it might be cool today because I got Michael Lamb on and it's a coaching call that's being recorded. Remember, I offered for you to do that free coaching call with me, my listener, and I also put it on my Facebook. Michael and I are friends on Facebook, and he did a course of real estate that I did a long, long time ago, which is kind of cool. And one of the things that he said to me right before we started recording was, I'm not so good at the technology. Like, computers are not my friend, right? And so if that's you, if you want to have a podcast, but you're not really that tech savvy, well, cool. Michael's probably going to ask the questions that you want to hear. So, Michael, what's up, man?
Hey, man, how's it going?
Good. Oh, by the way, to the listener, you'll hear that Mike's not using, can I call you Mike or Michael? I'm thinking about microphones and saying Mike. Okay. Michael doesn't have a microphone. And so you're probably hearing a different audio quality than we usually have, but that's because he hasn't started his podcast yet. He doesn't know which one to buy. So deal with it. Sorry, listener. You're going to just hear it like that, and you're still going to get value. Michael, what's your first question for me?
I guess just how do you get started? What's the first things that you do?
Okay.
I've got a million things in my head, like I could do this or do that, but like I've never done anything like that. And I listen to podcasts all the time. And I'm like, how would you even start?
Yeah, I get that a lot. You know, I felt that way. I wanted to have a podcast. I knew that I needed to have a podcast. So the biggest problem for me was I wasn't tech savvy. I didn't know the first thing about how any of that worked. So I'm going to try to share with you some of the, like, how that works, give you like a 30,000 foot view.
Okay.
That is going to, I think, allow you to kind of just see the big picture and allow you to be able to start your podcast. But there's a couple things that I think maybe we could start by mentioning, and that is that the first 6 episodes of our podcast, this is called The Podcast on Podcasting, and the first 6 episodes is a mini course. It's a course. It's from A to Z on how do you launch and grow a top podcast. It's a little bit different than other people's courses because they're going to just teach you how to have a podcast, only the logistics, and this one has that. But it's more on the level of how do you make sure that it actually gets some traction? Because to me, if you have a podcast, but nobody listens, you really only have a journal. That's your diary that you're writing in every night. It's your video diary. It's not even a video log. It's a diary because nobody else is listening. So how do you get it to be a top podcast where it's actually in front of people? You have listeners. And so the first 6 episodes of this podcast is called The Podcast on Podcasting, is a course from A to Z on launching a top podcast, and has a lot of these details, but I'm going to give you the 30,000 foot view right now. And if you want more, just go to the first 6 episodes. Step 1 is that you have to know who is your avatar. And you have to know what you do that's different. And you have to know what you want to achieve with the podcast. So think of those 3 things as the main thing that you want to get started. Why do I want a podcast? What do I want to achieve? What's my goal? What's the outcome of having a show? What do I want to get out of it? Okay. Also, who am I serving? What types of people? But the person, I really want you to go granular on this one avatar, this one perfect person that you need to attract, bring into your coaching program, your real estate business, to do consulting for, or whatever. You need to figure out what is the overarching goal and who do you serve. So you think about that, who is it? And you want to think of 4 things when you're thinking about who it is. The first 3 are easy. Psychographics, demographics, and geographics. Psychographics, demographics, geographics. It basically means like, where do they live? What type of house do they live in? What's their income? How many kids do they have? What are they stressed out about at night? What are they going through? What steps do they need? What types of resources can help them get their goal? What are they trying to run away from? You want to get as granular as you can, basically by figuring out like this person that you are getting in front of, like, what's their biggest worry? What's their biggest fear? What's holding them back? Could you solve for them? And then that third part of this beginning thing was, okay, I'm getting distracted. So there's 4 parts that I still need to finish: psychographics, demographics, geographics. And then the fourth one is, what do you do differently? Like, what's your unique proposition? How do you serve that person better than somebody else? How do you draw your line in the sand and say, other people try to serve you this way, but that's not cutting it. I serve you this way because it's a better way. And I frequently will share on this podcast. And Michael, I don't know if you've heard this story before, so I'm going to share it with you.
Okay.
I frequently share it on the show because it's so impactful to help understand what do you do that's different. And why is it important to even draw a line in the sand? And for that, we got to go back to cave person eras. And there's this guy, his name is That's just a random name because he was a cave person and their names were weird back then. And so you got to bang your chest like a gorilla and you say, that's his name. And he's a cave person and they had the chief. And one day, figured out fire. It was pretty cool. He was excited. You know, you kind of found that there was pros and cons on it, just like there is with anything. There's a pro and con for a car. There's a pro and con for a microphone. There's a pro and con for hair. There's a pro and con for anything and everything. And he figured out there was some cool stuff that fire did. Some of those things that fire was able to do was keep him warm. He's like, this is pretty cool. I don't have to always go south for the winter. I can stay right here, stay by the fire and be warm. He also found out that some of the predators were afraid. The woolly mammoths, the, saber-tooth tigers, they were afraid of the fire. So he was like, this is pretty cool. I can protect my young ones. I never was able to do that before. He also found out that with fire, he could cook his food. And he was getting diarrhea, which sucks. None of us like diarrhea, but sometimes when he was eating the meats, it wasn't always the best or the freshest. But he found if he cooked it, it tasted different. So there was a variety, but also he never got diarrhea from it. So he thought, this is like the coolest thing. I can stay warm. I don't have to be in a cave all the time. I can scare away animals and protect my kids. So he was stoked, right? He figured out this new thing that no one else had figured out before. And then he went up to the chief just with excitement in his eyes. He didn't know that the chief was going to say something negative because to him, this was just awesome. But what the chief said was, He goes, we're not doing that. That's of the devil. There's got to be some kind of crazy voodoo magic. And what would happen? And he says to, what would happen if this spread? It would take out our crops. Wouldn't that be horrible? What if he goes, watch this? And the chief put his finger in the fire and it hurt him. He goes, see how much that hurts? There's something wrong with this. We cannot deal with it. I'm not of it and we're not going to have it. So, was passionate about what he did that was different. He figured that this could be life-changing for other cave people. So he grabbed a stick, the first stick that he could find, and he just drew a giant line in the sand. And then what he did is he said, on that side of the line, you won't have fire, you won't burn yourself, you will probably still have diarrhea, you'll only be able to stay in the cave, you'll have to travel south during the winter, and your kids are going to get eaten by saber-toothed tigers. That's what's going to happen over there. But if you come on my side of the line, then we're going to protect our kids. They're not going to get eaten so much. We are going to be able to cook our food, feel healthier. We're going to be able to stay warm. We're not going to have to move so far after we've planted these crops. We'll be able to stay right by the crops. So I was excited and drew a line in the sand and told everybody. What ended up happening was half of the tribe started a new tribe with as the brand new chief. Would never have been able to do that, never have been able to accomplish that if he didn't draw the line in the sand. He would never be able to accomplish it if he was offering the exact same thing as the chief. If he had to offer was exactly what the chief had to offer, who would follow him? Maybe 2 people would just be like, I kind of just like you better. I kind of get you better. We kind of have a couple things in common. Our kids go to school together or whatever. And so they may have just went ahead and joined. But he wouldn't have gotten half. He only got half because he showed the difference of what happens if you stay over there versus come over here. So we're looking at these 4 parts: psychographics, demographics, geographics, and then what you do that's different needs to be your line in the sand. And it's going to help other people to follow you instead of following who they're already following. So again, the first 3 things that you got to do to start a podcast: figure out what you want to achieve, who you're helping, and what you do that's differently. That's the main thing. After that, there's a couple of little things that you got to do. Okay. You got to get your podcast artwork. If you're working with my team, we do that for you automatically. If you're not working with my team, you might have to go to like Fiverr or Upwork and spend a little bit of money for somebody to create a few different podcast artworks. You'll throw them on social. You'll see what people think. You'll decide on one. Other things, you'll need your intro and outro. Here's a couple ideas. Your intro should be about 15 to 20 seconds, but 15 is the goal. And it should really call out the avatar. You already know, what do I want to achieve? Who do I serve? How do I serve them better than the other person? And that kind of stuff is going to happen in your intro, in your 15 seconds of intro. And then you're going to hire a voiceover artist, or if you're working with my team, we do that for you. We hire the voiceover artist, male or female voice, it doesn't matter. It's always going to be free. Or you go to Fiverr or Upwork or something and find somebody who's a voice actor and pay them to record your intro. And then the next step is going to be your music. All right. So you've heard from people, don't pay for music. There's so much free music. You can get rights to music. There's all this advice. And I want you to think of making sure that your logo doesn't look like Pepsi or Coke. So this is your visual brand. Your visual brand is your logo. Your audio brand is your music. So again, you're not using music that somebody else has. You're not going to find somebody else's music and just use it for your podcast. If you don't have the rights to it, it'll get taken down. That's not a good thing. If you pay $10 or $20 for a piece of music, or $50, whatever it costs, if you pay to have the rights to use something that a lot of other people can pay and have the rights to use, then the problem is you don't have an audio brand. You're just copying Coca-Cola and Pepsi's logo. You don't want to copy somebody's logo. You want your own. And so what I would suggest you do, if you work with my team, we go through all this. Basically, we say, give us one song that you like, maybe 2 max, but really just focus on one. And then go and find the timestamp that you like the best. Let's pretend like it's, what's that song? Pressure by Queen. Doom, 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 dicka, doom, doom, shh, doom, 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 right? And so you go and you find Pressure and you say, my favorite part is seconds 6 through 20. And we're like, okay, this is the piece that he likes. And then we ask you, what do you like about it? And you say, I like the instrumentation, or I like the guitar, or I like the bass guitar. I like I like that little cymbal or hi-hat that is coming in, or the snare. I like the instrumentation. Or you'll say, like, I don't like the instrumentation, but I like the melody. Whatever it is, you tell us what you like and what you don't like. And then I go and hire a composer to try to create some music with that style, that feel. But it's your own personal audio brand. It's your own music that nobody else has the rights to. Nobody else can use. We create it just for you. And so if you're working with us, we'll do all that stuff. If you're not, then you just kind of do the same process that I told you, but go and find maybe somebody on Upwork or Fiverr. Does that part make sense?
Yeah.
All right. So you figured out what you want to achieve, who do you serve, how do you serve them differently? And now you've figured out your artwork, your intro, your outro, how you're going to capture the attention of that person, how you're going to make them need to listen to your podcast. Remember, they need to feel like they need to listen, like they would be not whole if they didn't listen to your podcast, right? Okay. So you figure out how to say that in 15 to 20 seconds. And then we get a voiceover artist, and then we get the music, and then we basically put these 2 things together. If you're doing it with my team, we automatically do that. If not, I would suggest that you give the music to your voiceover artist. And you say, this is the music that I'm using. This is the copy or the script that I want you to read, and pay them to audio engineer the two of them together to make it easier for you later when you're doing editing and post-production, or easier for your team to edit and post-produce. So remember that step. I want you, Mr. or Mrs. voiceover actor, I want you to take my music and I want you to put your voice with the music. Ask them to do that. What else do you need in the beginning? Okay, you need to design it. Begin with the end in mind. Who's the person that says that? Stephen Covey. Begin with the end in mind. 7 habits of highly effective people. I don't want you to be a non-effective person. I want you to be effective. So begin with the end in mind. And some of the things that we need to be is intentional. Write the word down, intentional. I've got to be intentional with my podcast. I know what I want to achieve, who I'm going after, and what I do differently. And every single thing that I do is going to be with intention for that purpose, for that specific purpose. So it's going to help you to decide if you're going to interview people, or if you're going to do solos, or if you're going to have a co-host, or if you're going to do a combination of the 3 or 2 of them, because you now know who you want to serve, how you want to do it differently, and what you want to happen with that person. And so you'll be like, oh, okay, for me on my podcast, it's that I have interviews half the time, and the other half of the time I do solos. And that's because one of the things that I want to have happen because of my show, the podcast on podcasting, is I want to be able to bring in clients for my company, which is called Grow Your Show at growyourshow.com. That's an actual thing that I want to have happen. This is one of my purposes. I want a bigger, better client list. I want to serve more people. There's another guy who says, if you help enough other people get what they want, you will have everything in life that you want. I think do you know his name, Michael?
I've heard that, but I can't think of who. I can't think.
All right. And me too, right now. For some reason, I don't remember who said that. Well, let's just go on to the next part, though. If you help enough other people, you'll have everything that you want. And for me, I want to help a lot of people get what they want. We currently have 37 employees today as we're recording, and almost 70 clients. So we're helping a lot of people get exactly what they want. We're serving them. I want the podcast to be something that helps me do that better. And so if I have a solo episode, then my listener, the one that's listening now to this podcast as we're having a conversation, is going to be able to see me, that I know what I'm talking about. They're going to be able to feel my heart, what I care about, what I think about, and they're more likely to say, hey, I will hire this person because I know this person. There's a know, like, trust factor. And my solo episodes allow my listener to better get to know me, like me, and trust me because they hear me pouring into them every other episode. Why do I do interview episodes? It's interesting. One of the reasons why I interview and I ask questions to people that are podcasters already, one of the reasons is because I want my listener to learn from that person. I want the listener to say, it's cool to get Adam's pouring into me, and it's cool to get outside perspectives from dozens of people. I can listen to 100 episodes and I get 50 different outlooks on what other people are doing with their show. Even Adam sometimes learns on these episodes. It's really cool. And so that's a benefit. What's the other benefit is you approximately 1 out of 6 of the people that I bring onto my show that are podcasters, after we have an interview, they will say, hey, what is it like to work with your company? Hey, I didn't know you did editing and post-production. Hey, I didn't know that I could only push record and have everything else happen. Hey, I didn't know that you guys did marketing and branding, and I need that. Can we have a conversation? And so what's cool is I interview my avatar. I actually have conversations with podcasters that are doing it that maybe don't have the traction that they're looking for. Maybe they're stressed out because they're editing everything themselves and they're ready to kind of offload that so they can stay in their lane. And so I'm interviewing them, and I don't expect it to happen with everybody, but about 1 in 6 get interested. and a small number of the people that are interested and have a discovery call with us end up actually working with us. So I'm bringing on clients by serving my listener, but I'm also bringing on clients by interviewing my perfect avatar. It's brilliant. I love it. It works out so well for everybody. So that was me designing, beginning with the end in mind. What do I want to achieve? And I decided I'm going to do interviews and I'm going to do solos, half and half. Other things is with the intention. Remember, the key word was being intentional, because you know those first three things: who you serve, how you serve them, what you want to achieve. And with this intention, it'll help you know, who do I want as my guest, if I want a guest at all? What questions should I ask my guests? What types of interviews should I have? And I had this brilliant idea to have people that wanted coaching. And we normally charge $500 for this call, Michael. The normal is to charge $500. It's clearly on our website, and people have paid it $500 to have a 1-hour call. And for you, you're getting the value. But what's cool is the listener probably resonates with you.
Correct.
You may hire me too. I don't know. It's totally possible that with the 200-ish people that were wanting to do these coaching calls, don't you think maybe at least 10 of them out of 200 would probably say, hey, I'm ready to hire you. So it's really helpful for my business. It's really helpful for me too, because I want to know what my listener, my perfect avatar, wants to know. So all of the questions you asked me today, Michael, we have stored in a place, and it's like, this is what our avatar wants to know, right? And so now I'm being better at my craft. And furthermore, the listener's like, yeah, I really thought it was cool because Michael came on and he doesn't even have his podcast yet. And so the questions that he asked are the questions that I needed to know. So it really helps me to be able to achieve with intention everything that I want to achieve through my podcast. So what else do you need to do? You need equipment. You need to buy a microphone, Michael. I'm already hounding you because you don't have one today. So you need to have a mic. And so where do you get that? Well, we've created a PDF, growyourshow.com/PDF. You can download it. And it's a whole PDF of only equipment that we vetted, and it works. So the mic that I'm using today on my treadmill desk, by the way, if you can hear me walking or breathing or huffing and puffing, it's because I'm on my treadmill desk, because I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. I'm going to get my 6-pack, and I'm going to give you some value at the same time. So the mic that I'm using now is the HER 2100X. It's one of the 4 options that's on the PDF. It's generally about $100. As we record it today, it's on sale. I think it's like $20 off, but it's generally $100. And Michael, you could go and grab the HER 2100X for, I don't know if the listener is going to be able to get this, but for $79 just for a limited time. And you can actually get the direct link to that by going to growyourshow.com/PDF, get the direct link to Amazon. I'll make 5 cents. I don't know, 5%. I don't know what I'll make, but it's also affiliate stuff that we've created. And so it doesn't do a lot, but we might make $20 a month of offering all the different equipment. So what else? You'll be thinking about your calls to action. Michael, this is important. Your outro. We already talked about your intro, getting them hooked. We got to talk about an outro. This is critically important. Some people don't know that you have to have an outro. They didn't even know that. And you have to, because at the end of an episode, you got to tell your listener what is the next step for them. So for example, here's a few outro examples that we can talk about. We can have an outro that basically says, schedule a call with me. We could have an outro that says, grab my free book. We could have an outro that says, go implement this knowledge. Don't just listen and learn. You're not going to get any value unless you do. So I talk about bird church on one of my outros. One of my outros literally talks about bird church. All these birds go to church. I should call it bird school for the people that are not religious, right? But bird church or bird school. And this bird goes up and he's like, hey, I found out that if we move our wings, we can fly. They didn't know that. They had no idea. It was kind of cool because the whole congregation started flying inside the church. And they were excited. They thought it was so awesome. And then at the end of church that day, they all walked home. And that's the punchline. They walked home. If you just learned how to fly, then frickin' fly. Have some fun. Enjoy yourself, right? Yeah. And so at the end of this episode, you're going to learn a thing or two. Don't just learn it, fly home, implement these two things or whatever. Other outros could be created a course on real estate. I created a course on podcasting. I created a course on branding. I created a course on whatever is going to help you get this value. And it's a free course. It's right on my website. Just go to mywebsite.com/free course. Okay. And you'll get it. Something like that. And all of these are good calls to action. And you always have to have a call to action, because here's the thing. Do you want to serve your listener, Michael?
Yes.
Do you want them to get true value?
Yes.
If you're timid and shy and afraid and you're nervous and you think that if you tell somebody what to do after they listen, that you're going to offend them, you're going to hurt their feelings, or they're going to think of you as a bad person who's money hungry and greedy. If that happens and it keeps you from having a good call to action that can serve your avatar, then your avatar won't be able to take all of the steps necessary. They can't get everything from a podcast. They can get lots. Our listener today is getting great tips. Even if they've had a podcast for a while, they're probably still getting some pretty good tips, and they can hopefully implement them and fly home. But wouldn't it be even more valuable to the listener today if they worked with my team to offload all this stuff, or to market their podcast and get them in front of more listeners, or to hire us as a consultant so we can pour into them and help them make 10 times more money through their podcast or something like that? Wouldn't that help them?
Definitely.
It helps me too. And so sometimes it feels like I'm selfish, like I'm an asshole, like I'm a bad person, or like that someone's going to judge me because I say, hire us, schedule a call with me, see how we can help, set a discovery call to see if we should even work together. It feels real uncomfortable for some of us to ask them to do something. But if we actually want them to get the value, they've got to do something. They can't just be there listening and get all of the value. So I want you, Michael, to remember on your outro to have a call to action. The fewer, the better. One or two things that they should do, and that's going to be good. So what other steps? If you're doing this on your own, you're going to have to pick a platform that is a hosting platform. Okay, I'm going to just name 3: Libsyn, Buzzsprout, Podbean. I'm just going to name 3: Libsyn, Buzzsprout, and Podbean. There's a ton more, but these 3 are great. I've used all 3. Our clients mostly use those 3. And all this is a place where you upload your file after it gets edited. It's going to be uploaded there. It's called syndication. Now, there's syndication with real estate investments where you attract a whole bunch of capital. And that's good because all of these different pieces come together to be able to do something. Syndicating on radio and podcasts, slightly different. You go to one place and it spreads it to many places. So here's a couple of examples. You put it in Buzzsprout, for example, and then it'll go on Apple and iTunes and Stitcher and iHeart and Spotify. And if you do it right, even Amazon Alexa, and there's dozens more. Google Play. There's another Google one. I don't remember the name right now. And the cool thing is that you can put it in this one place like Buzzsprout or Libsyn or Podbean, and it'll syndicate it across all of the places that are possible. So you need that, and you're going to have to either hire somebody who knows how to work with it. I don't even know how to work with it. That's the truth. My team does all of it for me, and my team does all of it for all of our clients. I don't even want to deal with it. I don't want to figure it out. I don't want to know how to upload. Once I knew, but I hate trying to do all of the parts of the business. I want to focus on the part that makes me the most amount of money and hire off the rest. So you're going to need one of those. And you're going to need to either hire an editor or you're going to need to edit yourself. The basic editing, the fastest editing, if you want to go minimal, would be throw on the bumpers. What are bumpers? The intro and the outro, and possibly an ad if you've got an ad. You can put the ad wherever. So you got the intro, that's a bumper. It's the voiceover artist we talked about with the original theme music. You got the outro, which is the call to action, helping that person. So you might just be able to throw the first part on, the last part on. You might want to edit out some ums and ahs if you've got a lot. Other than that, you go ahead and just upload it just the way that it is, and now it'll syndicate. What else do you got to know? You got to write some show notes and title it. So whatever, you got to figure out, like, what would be a compelling title? What would make somebody, again, remember when we said the intro needed to make sure that your perfect avatar feels that they need to listen.
Catchy.
Yeah, catchy. The title is very similar. A purpose of the title is to make sure that somebody will actually listen. So there's a lot of ways to do that, but you also need to write your show notes. And there's ways to do show notes. You can search on this podcast. Maybe I'll even have the team put it in, but you could also search the podcast for the 6-part show note system. It's a catchy title, 6-part show note system. If you, I think, search this podcast for that, the 6-part show note system, it'll teach you all about how to do that. Brian and I had a cool call where we really poured into the listener. But in short, you basically want to have a summation of what is the podcast about. You want to have some bullet points of like what people will get from listening to the podcast episode. And the way we do the bullet points is we'll say, like, in this episode, we talk about the 3 ways to start a podcast. But we don't necessarily say, this is a way to start a podcast, this is a way to start a podcast, and this is a way. Because there's no curiosity if we answer the question. Then they can just read the show notes and they don't have to listen. But we want them to listen. So we just get them hooked by throwing out some stuff where it tells them what they're going to learn, but it doesn't actually teach them all the way in the show notes. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. You might want to know what we already talked about: the mic, where you go to get equipment, growyourshow.com/PDF. Another thing is you might just want to record in a good place, somewhere where you have good internet, probably, or where it's not by a whole bunch of windows. Like in your office, Michael, I can see it. The listener probably can't, but you got a lot of bare walls, okay, ceilings, probably some tables in there, probably a window or 2. I also see, I see personally already 3 giant whiteboards. Whiteboards are non-porous. Another way to say non-porous is echoey. All the sound bounces off of them. So you got the ceilings, the walls, maybe the bare floors, maybe some desks, maybe a window, and you got these whiteboards. And what's going to happen is if you want to have a concert, it's going to sound like you're in a tabernacle. It's going to sound so good. If you're singing on your podcast, you're going to have that reverb. It's going to just be gorgeous. But if your goal is to have a podcast where it's just clean sound, clean audio, you want to cover some of that stuff up. You want to put down a rug. You want to put down a couple pillows under you. You want to cover up the wall. You want to put up some of these foam things that are in my office. They're like blue egg carton sound dampening stuff. To wrap this up, just consider whatever room that you're in. Some people, they go into a closet and they leave the clothes in there. People have said, go to the closet. And so they're like, okay. And then they take all this extra time, like grabbing their clothes, putting it on their bed, and then going into a closet that became bare. And now it's just as bad as anywhere else. So leave the clothes. So it's like you can hear the difference between what's happening at Michael's house right now and what's happening at my office. Michael's office versus my office, you really just hear my voice. Michael, tell me what you had for breakfast.
I had bacon and eggs.
Bacon and eggs. You see how when he says it, it kind of sounds like this. It kind of sounds like this. It's like, I don't know. It's just not, you kind of hear the echo. It's hard for me to do it with the equipment that I have, but I tried.
So can I ask a question?
Yes, please.
How do you check your sound?
That's a good question. I like that. So it depends on what platform you're on. I record on Zoom. Most of the platforms have similar functions. Zoom isn't necessarily the best, but I prefer it. It makes my life easier, much easier. It integrates with my calendar and stuff like that. How you check your sound, there's a couple things. I can hear me right now, Michael. When I talk, I can hear it coming into my headphones. Okay. So what I've done is I have my ATR 2100X, the $99 mic that as we record this, it's only $79. So I've got this. And I am using it as a USB, which is the easiest way. On my other computer that doesn't have a treadmill under it, my other computer, I have a XLR cable. XLR is those big cables with all the prongs, and they're really good for nice audio sound. And I even have a Rodecaster Pro over there, which makes me have all these cool sounds that I can push and whatever else. It's kind of fancy, and I like it. But on this computer, I use USB. Now, one cool thing about the ATR 2100X is I'm going to show anybody who can see, it could be XLR if I wanted it, but I'm using USB and I'm plugging my own headphones in there. And what that basically does for me is I put in to Zoom, I say the microphone that I'm using is the ATR. And I say, it sounds weird. People get confused about this. I also put that the speaker I'm using is my ATR. So my mic is my speaker. Now there's no speaker in the mic, but because I plugged my headphones into the back of the mic, I can hear me talking and I can hear Michael talking. And what's cool is when Michael says something, it doesn't go out of my computer speakers and then go back to my mic. It just goes straight to my ears. So I never get that echo or that feedback loop. So that's a really good question. So I use Zoom and I test the microphone, I test the speaker, I make sure that all of my sound comes to my ears, I make sure that I can hear me talking. And then how I test it in Zoom is I'll literally click on test mic. There's a button in most of the platforms that just basically says test. And I'm going to go push it and I go, mic check, 1, 2, 3. And then I unpush it and it says it back to me. And I go, okay, cool. I'm definitely using the right mic. I'm definitely using the right one. And it definitely sounds good. Yeah, that's pretty much how you do it. Most platforms do it a similar way, Michael.
Okay. Pretty good.
What other questions do you have, sir?
Man, I can't think now. I mean, other than just holding hands, I guess best thing to do is just hire your...
Hey, I'll pay you later to say that. Thanks, man.
Well,
but you want to hold hands?
Honestly, I've learned, I've done real estate for a while, and I've learned just buy the course and go faster than try to figure it out yourself. It's so much better. Yeah. I have real estate partners and I tell them, I said, let's don't try to figure it out. Just buy the course and let's go. Yeah. And that's honest.
That's smart, man. Yeah. Very smart. All right. Well, perfect. This was a very thorough episode about the things that you need to start a podcast. And if you want more, go to episodes 1 through 6. See, this is my call to action, Michael. This is my CTA today. You remember how we talked about how you always need a call to action and how you don't need to be bashful about it?
Yes.
Look, the listener today, they got lots of value and they can get more by going to episodes 1 through 6. That helps them, but it also helps me because now I got 6 more downloads from all of the people that do that. It benefits me. It benefits the algorithm. It grows our podcast, but the listener got enough value today. They took a lot of notes and now they're able to go to a course this is kind of like at the minute. What do they call it? À la minute? I don't remember what that French term is. It's not à la mode. I think that's ice cream. À la minute. I don't remember. But this was just kind of like on the spot. You asked me and I gave you everything that I could. The actual course is more well set up and it goes from the basics to the end and it was all designed ahead of time and there was notes in front of me. So it's just like, it's going to help them, but it also helps me. That's their call to action today and I shouldn't feel bad about it.
Yeah, the more you give, the more you receive.
Heard. I like it. Michael, thank you for jumping on the podcast today. When you have your podcast up and running, sir, you're going to tell me. And then the listener will already have it in the show notes. So if the listener's listening, which they are, they scroll down. And if your podcast is there, they can click on it. And if it's not, it means he's still about to launch. Cool?
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Yes, hey, thanks again for jumping on. I had a good time with you today.
Thank you, sir.
All right. To the listener, keep listening because the next episode is for you. I'll see you there.
If you're glad that you checked out the podcast today, if you got some value out of this episode, some actionable takeaways, I invite you to do one of three things. A, you could do a written review on Apple. Let us know what you think. Just an honest written review. B, you could share the podcast with a friend of yours who needs it. Or C, at the very least, implement what you've learned to take your business and your podcast to the next level. And I'll see you on the next episode.